Okay, so this is just a brief, or brief stream. Bullshit. It's going to be brief in that sense. This is an introductory stream to the basics of GZ Doom Builder, having had some interest expressed through direct messages over the last few weeks by people who would like to learn a bit more about how to build a Doom level, the basics of it. And while there are so many amazing builders out there who regularly stream their design process, and they're really fascinating to watch, they're also at a very advanced level. And I'm going to link them in the description when this VOD hits YouTube. I will link everyone that I can think of, and I'll keep adding to that list as I find more. But for the purpose of understanding things like, hey, this is a line def, this is what each side def does, those kind of things, I thought perhaps this might be a nice primer for the uninitiated, both of you. Howdy, Hidden Asbestos. Yes, yeah, I should have had the Doom song. When I edit this for YouTube, I need to add the Doom song to the beginning. I don't care if I get a copyright strike; it's going to be worth it. Anyway. So we're just going to create a new map. Ghost LPs did suggest working with OTEX, but for the sake of a very, again, vanilla, for someone who was as green as Doom Guy's original uniform, I want to just stick to vanilla for now, as much as I'm also using Boom here. Let's see, map 1, add resource from WAD file, Doom 2. This is how you tell the game, or tell Doom Builder this to find the assets. So I could add OTEX, which is the texture pack from Eternity here as well. But just go to wherever you've got the main game file. I have copies of all of the WAD files in each of my source port folders, so it's easy enough. And you add it there. Click OK. There you've got the resource. I could, like I said, go and find OTEX. I'm sure it's somewhere on my desktop. You know, if I care to go sifting through all of that at some point and find it, but no, I don't think. I've just stuck it in my GZ Doom folder, so I'm going to ignore it for now. Like I said, vanilla.
Platypus.
And Brett has a platypus in RimWorld.
No, there's a mod that has platypus.
Are they platypus or platypi?
I don't care. It's got a koala, a
Platypodes.
They've got boom bat instead of a wombat.
Oh Christ! I wonder if that can fly over walls.
Oh my god, I need this.
It's fucking terrifying. Now something I've been curious about. No, I was wondering. I noticed the WAD designer I've been watching a lot of lately is Bridgeburner, and I've noticed he actually manages to have his grid offset diagonally. And I'd love to know how he does that. I really need to ask him in his stream how he has achieved that. Anyway, so we start, we've got a grid. You can change the size of the grid. I generally work with a 64 pixel grid. That yellow dot just marks the center of the map. With a 64 pixel grid, each of these will represent 1 pixel in the game world, and you can see this if you go into textures. I'll show in a bit. If you go into the textures, each pixel on the texture corresponds to one of these little 1 pixel squares. And most textures in Doom are either 64 or 128 pixels wide. So we're just going to make a very basic map, effectively a map 1 type thing. I'm generally just going to work on a clone heavily inspired by the map 1 for my Megawad that I put out a couple of years back, because I'm not the most original person, I'm not the most creative person. And I spent the last few days going, I really should plan for this stream, and here we are, and I haven't planned for this stream. So we're going to make a starting room. Just start with something small. That's 64. That is indeed 64. Wow. It's been a little while since I've used this. I want 5 wide. 5 wide. Thank you. You have to click again. You can make shapes, for example, like that. Also just Control Z to undo. Or you can hand draw them like this. And just click. Every time you click, it splits the wall. I'm just going to I like rectangles. Rectangles are easy to work with. Hey, Queen Cinder.
Wasn't it meant to be a butterfly?
There will be a butterfly included in there, yes.
Because you know Mr. 8 will be pissed if there's no butterfly.
Yep. The first thing I always do is put in a player 1 start so that when I go to test it, it will run. See? This is our WAD. Technically, I could put an exit switch in here, and that is the level done. And I could have gone, hey, it's the tutorial. Enjoy. In fact, you know what? I wish I had done that now. Damn it. Anyway. I'm just going to save this. I actually saved my WADs. For whatever reason, I saved these in my WinDU folder of all things. New folder... StrimWAD.
Okay.
Oh, Strim.wad. So there we go. So now something I love about this, you can actually, this isn't, I'm not in the game, just GZ Doom Builder has the feature to actually just fly around your map and do really cool things like move textures around, change the offsets, which is something that you can do manually. So I could click on this and change these numbers. So as you can see, you can change the numbers and completely ruin the texture apparently. Or you can do it manually with those arrow keys. And this is something that I often go on about, and I'll demonstrate, again, I'll demonstrate that in a little while how I mean by this, but where I'll often comment in the showcase how someone could just click and align their textures by tapping A. It doesn't work here because these textures are already aligned because they follow a very handy 64 by 64 grid. There's nothing I can demonstrate by tapping A to align these. And what we are going to do though is just shift click to select all of the textures, and I'm going to actually try something. Was it shift right click? Shift left click? Shift click does it. Control click. Control click takes you straight to the textures menu, which is something I actually did pick up from Bridgeburner the other week. So I am going to pick, and this is what the longest fucking part of the entire process is, picking textures for walls. Something relatively unoffensive. Where would those concrete blocks go? Yeah, those, that'll do. So C to clear, ceiling texture. Actually, I'll back out a bit because I want to be able to show the entire sector when I do this. Back up. It's the WASD configuration for your movement keys, but it's set offset 1 to the left of WASD. It's ESDF, and it's even more disorienting than WASD ever was. Ceiling for this area is going to be that one. Floor for this will be the UAC carpet, which I know Ghost LPs loves. Actually, I'm going to go with something metallic, I think. Where'd those hex tiles go? There they are. There. Right, and okay. We can also change the light level. I'm going to change the light level down a bit so that we can put some lights in there. Not too dark. Alright, so that is a room. What we're now going to do is... Actually, I'd like to delete that, but I can't just yet. What we're going to do is hand draw, God help us, a room with that tool. Insert. Let's see. How does that look? That's not completely awful. It's not the best job I've ever done, but it's certainly not the worst. I am just going to straighten that out a bit, I think. No, I want... Alright, so in the process of this, I can now demonstrate two things. These lines, these are called line defs in the game. Each line def is generally two-sided, even if the second side has no actual value to the game. For example, here, the ones that matter, well, the ones that are two-sided that matter are these. You can't see them; they don't appear as anything, but what they do is they separate the world. And as 42% Health commented in last week's custom WAD showcase, there was a map where the monsters didn't attack. That was a glitch that apparently appears in WADs that do not have more than one, that only have one sector. So if I'd kept this WAD to that one room and not added anything else, then I might have been able to duplicate that glitch. I've never actually seen that before, which might also explain why early versions of DEU would not let you save a Doom level that had fewer than 2 sectors. So we have this. This is called a line def. Each side of this line def, so you got a front side and a back side, and the front side is this one. You can't really see it, but there's a little, just below that one, there's that red dot or red line pointing down. That denotes which way the line is facing. So if you cross it in the direction of that way, so forwards, so if Doomguy travels across it from where he currently is to where my cursor is now, that will activate anything I set the game to do when he crosses it. So you can make that a teleporter, you can make it an exit, you can make it do a whole lot of things. If I flip that, and you can just click it and tap F, now it's pointing the other way, it won't have that effect. So you can still have it, but this way I can make it so that Doomguy approaches, monsters are approaching from the other way, and I could have it set to cause the monsters to teleport as they cross it, and then appear over here and bite his ass off. I'm going to flip that one back, because I actually do want this to face this way, because of something I'm sure I will create eventually. So you can also give it a texture, and the best way I can illustrate this, I'll just throw that on there. For now, I'm just picking a texture at random. Right, you can see it now has that texture I assigned to it. But on the other side, it's clear. This is how you make an illusory wall or a walkthrough wall, call it whatever you will. You can pass straight through it. The texture does nothing. You can set it to be impassable. There is a flag there that lets you do this. Similarly, I can assign it to the other side, and now it's on here. So the first side def is called the front side. The second side def is called the back side. And they use different names in different builders. DEU calls them the first and second side defs. Doom Builder calls them the front side and the back side, because apparently they needed to idiot-proof it just that little bit more, I think. And I'm actually going to put that back because it made it easier to see what I'm doing. And you have upper, lower, and middle textures for each. So I'm going to clear that. Now what I'm going to do, just to demonstrate that distinction, is I'm going to scroll up a bit. Each time I scroll this, it moves the terrain 8 pixels in the direction that I'm moving. And I can do that there. I'm going to leave these textures missing for the moment. I'm going to save the WAD. And we're going to test it. And what we should get when we jump down here, I mean, you can't see it from here, but what we should get is a hall of mirrors. Where it's not so evident up there. Whoa. That will be because that texture is missing, I assume. Interesting that I can walk through that wall, actually. I wonder why that is. Well, that's something new. But anyway, that's not what I was meaning to demonstrate, though. Holy crap, that's interesting. I wonder why that happened. But you can see there's no texture here. And if I had a difference in the ceiling textures across there, it would be a bit more apparent. And that's often the cause of that Hall of Mirrors effect that you see sometimes where textures kind of wobble and flicker like a bloody migraine aura. What you do, again, we'll just pick any of these three. And there you can see it's telling me that the back side, so the second side def, is missing textures at the top and bottom. So I can just, again, I'm just going to pick at random here at the top, at the bottom, and you can also change. I'll pick top textures that have something about them. So we've got one with a light, and we'll pick something with, I don't know, a poison sign. There we go. Just to illustrate the point. So you can see there that they kind of look a bit off. If I rotate them, they all move as one. You can see that. This is how you line them up. So actually, I like how they lined up then. But if you want to use a particular side of a texture, for example, like these lights, I use these lights in. There was a WAD I released. I think it was map 6. 5 or 6 of the Mega WAD. I think Ghost LP's played through it and it thoroughly kicked his ass. No, it was map 7. That's right. And I used just this strip of lights in a few places in the area for the blue key on that WAD. And this is how you do it. You just select the texture and you can scroll through it, like left, right, up, down, side to side, forward, back, not back in time. I suppose actually you can go back in time. That's what Control Z is for. And that will let you selectively pick which parts or align them. For example, now I can go, actually, now that I've demonstrated that, one other thing I want to do is, when I talk about textures being unpegged, they won't move independently now, but they start in a different place now. So now basically the unpegging the texture means that they will start from the best way to articulate this from the top of the side def, or from the top of the ceiling. No, I don't want I do want double-sided. I don't want to unpeg that anymore. Actually, I think they start from the bottom up when you unpeg them. I apologize wherever I've said that they start from the top down. I actually believe they start from the bottom up, as was illustrated in actually this week's this week's custom mod showcase, where there was a door in some acid that when you opened it, the door actually started. The door texture actually started below the floor, and created this neat effect where the door scrolled up a little bit until it reached the stair, and then it opened, and then when you close it, it went back down to the stair, but not the whole way back down to its original position. I actually found it really, really neat the way that they'd done that. And the other thing I wanted to show is aligning. Can finally get to aligning textures. Where are those stone bricks again? Here we are. Stone 2. Stone 2. So, can see here that the seams don't all line up. Some are all over the place. No, I'm just gonna peg and unpeg so that they hopefully line up a bit better. Change all of the offsets back to, actually, change all of these back to 0. No, I didn't save it. There we go. Alright, so it actually lines up pretty well all on its own there because I've unpegged them. If I don't unpeg them, I can just stop selecting the whole thing because I'm shift clicking by reflex here. If you don't unpeg them like that, then you can just tap A and it will realign the whole texture to line up with what you've chosen there. And you can use this to, for example, something I will do quite often is a pillar. One of my favorite things to use in most WADs is a simple pillar. Where are you? You're there. Alright, so we'll raise this up. It can meet the ceiling. Not go through it, just meet it. Thank you. Select the whole thing, and I'm going to select, what is it? Metal 2? No, it's support 2. Support 3. God, I'm losing it. I don't know. And so, for example, I'm just going to throw a couple of these off for whatever reason. And they actually ended up not looking half bad anyway. So you can select it, and 1, 2, 3. The order you select them seems to be important too. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tap A, and it lines them up again, nice and neat. It lines them. Oh, it's actually aligned them so that they repeat each way. Never mind, it's aligned them so that they flow neatly around, and it looks terrible doing it that way. So it's actually probably the worst possible example I could have given of that. So, anyway, that's one of my favorite things to use. They are really simple to throw in there. They give you something to look at. And I'm going to quit out of there. We're just going to get back to... Oh my god. There we go. So, now the next thing. Vertices, vertexes, vertex mode. These points are vertices. They are the things that separate the different parts of the lines that shape the rooms. The bits that I'm highlighting now are sectors. They are the areas of the map that do different things. I wonder if now that I've got textures on there that wall's going to be solid. I'm very curious as to what's... Good, we have solid walls now, so I can only assume that the textures were actually, yes, doing the thing. Right, so what I'm going to do... I'm just going to create a clearer circle there, so I can just go down 3. 3 is significant because 3 times 8 is 24, which is the tallest step that Doom Guy can traverse. We're going to throw... There are some 24 tile high textures along there. Wrong one, I wanted that as the lower. The upper texture will just be... I'll use the greeny one for that. And for the ceiling... sky. For the floor... acid. Yeah. And then when you go into it, I probably should... so if you select the sector, you can bring up its properties. It's how you change the textures. You can change the floor heights. Again, you can do this manually. Lord knows it's how I grew up doing it manually in the days of DEU. I've been feeling bloody spoilt having GZ Doom Builder to work with. We can make it a little bit brighter since it's got a skylight there. And we're going to make this a pain sector. Not a nasty one, just enough to let the player know that we care. Now what have I done there? I must have... I don't know what maybe I added to the height offset without thinking there. Anyway. So now we have that. And what I might do here is put in some stairs so that we can come and go up here as we please. A bit of a trapezoid shape going there. We'll just swap to 32 pixel mode so I can see a bit more clearly what I am doing. I see I've done one too far there. 1, 2, 3. No. 1. I didn't mean to do it quite that complicated. I actually meant to terminate each line there and just kind of go 1, 2, 3. But my dexterity had other ideas apparently. Now what we can do with this is make a staircase like so. Select all of those. Stone, just because reasons. Now clearly one of them is facing the other way. I'll just put, no, not there, you moron. There. There. And for the stairs themselves, I'm actually going to give them a different texture. Because I can, because that's just how I roll. So the steps, I will give them that one. And a slightly different floor, because again, I can. This is how I roll. They can look a little bit weathered. And we've hit this bit, I can again make that one look a bit weathered too. How does that look? Actually, given the proximity of the brown texture there, I actually minded to use that one. Yeah. It's taking shape already. Now what I'm going to do, and like I said, I'm literally plagiarizing with some very cheap differences the level 1 that I actually spent actual time working on a while ago. I'm going to level that out. I need to be in Vertex Mode for this, level this out there, and this is where I'm going to actually put my exit. So how wide is that? 96. I'm sure that there is a door texture that is 96 wide. Game is about to make a liar of me. 128 by 96 wide. No, that's 96 high. It's 128 wide. Never mind. There is an exit door texture that I will get to. Move that one there. Shorten that. It's just going to be a typical pillbox with an imp in it. Which brings us to doors. Well, in a moment it will bring us to doors. What I want to do to begin with is we need to drop this down so it only has 128 height. Actually, no, we want 72 height here. For the door texture we're going to use, the door is only going to be 72 units high. So we're going to drop our ceiling down manually until this says 72. Or drop our ceiling up. Drop our ceiling up. It's the wrong end of the day. It is the wrong end of the day sometimes. And we can put our stone texture on here. And this is another case of where you either align it or unpeg it or both. We'll unpeg in this case so that it lines up. Looks much tidier already. Realign it all. Watch for wherever it's come undone, because it's got to align a lot of things all at once. And this texture is a really nice one to work with because it aligns itself so easily. Up there is I mean, this is another really good texture to work with because, again, it's just so easy to... I thought it was offset a little bit. That's the... No, that's the horizontal offset, not the vertical. I'm just seeing this green seam there and wondering why that is. It's only 24 units. I shouldn't be seeing it, but I am. Oh well. This is another one that's really merciful to work with because it doesn't have borders or edges like some of the wood textures, for example, have very definite squares, or the skin symbol textures, again, have really definite squares and shapes that are very unforgiving if you misalign them. So now we've got our little exit room, or what will be our exit room. Now we get to make another sector. We're going to make a little rectangle. I'm going to switch this to 8 megapixels, and we're going to put it here because we're going to put flickering lights there. We're actually going to move this. So what I'm doing here is I'm selecting. You can either do the individual side defs that will just move the whole thing with them, or you can select the sector itself and click and drag to move it. Now what I've got here is a 16 unit wide bit there that I can just stick flashing lights in. And the way that we do this is 1, 2, change our sector to lights, which are very helpfully tabbed there. I'm going to go with blue. And they're not very helpfully aligned there, but the easy way to fix that here is to just change this value to 0 so that it starts. They start as if you're writing, so they go right to left. So if you set it to 0, then the starting point of the texture is going to be on the far left-hand side, and it will just go, yeah. Let's say right to left, no, it's left to right, as if you're writing. My lord, I'm going to have some coffee for a moment. There, I am mildly more caffeinated. And to make this a flickering light, what we do is we change the light level right the hell up. Doesn't have to be maxed, but why not? And go through these properties until it says light flickers randomly. And now that will flicker randomly as advertised. Now this, I'm going to go back out into the overview, right click on that, left click on that, and I'm going to type Shift D, makes a door. Rocket science, I know. Go to door textures, go to the exit door texture. It looks like it's got a whole lot of shit to the side of it, but we don't need to worry about that. We only need the 128 bit in the middle there, also on the first 64 pixels of that texture. Go to the ceiling. We want ceiling 5.1 is a good one for doors because it looks very black. And now we have a door with a flickering light in front of it. Just going to jump out, save. And there we go. We have a room with a pane sector. Yep, a very effective pane sector. And a door. You can just see the flickering light. I need to turn the lights down in here to get the most out of that. There we have it. I need to make that a little bit deeper to get an imp comfortably in there. Oh, and creating the door as well also added this door track texture to the mix as well. So we're going to drop out. And I'm going to drop this light level down a bit. And I'm actually going to use another feature here. Again, selecting them in order. I want the light level. There's a tool here that will let me change the light levels so that will gradually, there's a gradient tool there, will let me gradually change the light level to flow between the first sector through to the last sector that I choose. What does that tool do? Oh, it's just the door tool. So I don't use a lot of these a lot of the time, so I'm forever going back. I go, oh, what does this do? What does that do? What can I do with this? But I've never professed to be an expert in creating these maps. I'm just a really whiny motherfucker who likes to complain about them when I play them. So there we have it. That'll stand out a bit more now. Test against F9, I think, to test. Yes, F9. That's flickering a bit more. I imagine I want to change the light behind it too. Like so. And I might just change it from flickers to blinks randomly. That might make it a bit more obvious. That's better. So that's going to grab your attention straight away. I'll have something in the middle there, but that will grab your attention. Be like, hey, there's the exit door right there. But it's going to be locked. And the way that we do that, again, we select the door. I'll select both sides of it because I can. The different tags, or not tags, sorry, here, the different actions you can assign. There's a bigger list if you click on this button here, a more comprehensive list. We're going to scroll down until we see DR blue open. There are lots of different speeds, functions. There's one, for example, that you can shoot. These prefixes, DR, W, S, they're the kind of interaction you need to have with that line to make it do its thing. So, for example, W means if you walk over that line, then the door will do the thing you're telling it to. So if I walk over that line, then the door opens and stays open. Pretty useless on that line because that is the door. You can't walk over it to trigger that. So if I were to instead put that on this line, and in theory if there was space for Doomguy to get in between that line and the door, so that the center of him is passing over that, then that would open the door. DR just is door remote. I actually don't quite follow the distinction between door remote and the S prefix, which is switches. So switches function in this case exactly the same. The only difference I know of is that the door remote is on the door itself. I assume that will then operate without having to assign a unique number to the sector to make it do its thing. The other thing I've noticed with the door texture versus the door texture, the door remote versus the switch remote, is that you won't have the side textures scrolling upwards when the door opens. They'll stay fixed so that it actually looks like the door is following its tracks. So we can lock it. It'll open. It'll close when it's meant to. It's door flavored now. And because we can, we're going to add in a switch. Where's a fitting switch for this map? There we go. And we'll tell it what to do. Exit, switch 1, exit level. There are different textures. Perhaps the most interesting one, the one that I have a lot of fun with, is the G's, gun remote. If you shoot over that line def, any hit scan attack passes over that line def, it will trigger that. And perhaps the best use I have ever seen of this is in Sigil, the way John Romero has used the evil eye prop throughout that Mega WAD, and you shoot the evil eye. What he actually has there is a couple of these that will raise. First one raises the wall to block off the evil eye because it's been exhausted, so to speak, and the second one does the other thing, whether it's opening a door or opening a monster closet or jibbing the player or whatever evil thing John Romero's decided to do with it. But that's how they work, is there are a couple of these in front of those evil eyes assigned to do whatever he needs to do, and it's the best use I've ever seen of it. Otherwise, you might remember it from such evil tricks as the first room in map 18 on Doom 2, where you're stuck in there forever if you don't think to shoot the lion to let yourself out. Map 16 in the library has a couple of, again, things that you shoot. I can't off the top of my head think of anywhere in the original Doom that it comes up. Most infamously, I think TNT has a level with a random friggin' lion texture on the wall that you have to shoot to progress through the map. That if you don't look up the fact that that's there, you probably just fucking die of old age on that map. It's absolutely terrible. But we're just going to use a switch in this case. We're going to go make sure that switch is properly lined up with the world. It is not. I'm just going to scroll down in this case. I'm going to scroll until those seams line up. That looks pretty well central for me. I will put the light level up a bit in there, so that we have light. So we have light. We have an exit, and I'm just going to drag that back a bit so we can fit an imp in there nicely. We'll go back to. I'm going to tap T. The different modes are here. So sectors is the one that we use, where I've been selecting the different sectors. Line defs to choose the different walls. Things. Just lets you place the things, like when I placed Doom Guy over here. So this time we're going to place an imp. Can face down, down to monsters, imp, for easy and medium, and on hard to let the player know that we care. It's going to be an arch file. Because yes, that's just how I roll. And you can see, there they are. They will face the direction they are. I actually have every I don't know what to call it, every feature that tells me where they're facing active, which is pretty pointless because the sprite will rotate to face the direction that they're facing anyway, but I still like the arrow. It also shows me their hitbox, so if anything is impinging on that box as opposed to where their sprite is, they'll be stuck. And similarly, this tile here again shows where they'll get stuck if anything exists. So now what I'm going to do, we've got the blue door, we've got the exit. I'm actually going to put the blue key right here, and I'm going to do so with 2 circles. Let's see. So we've got a 64 circle there, and I'm going to do, let's see, we'll get 32 there. I'm going to build a little staircase going around. So make this raise up a bit. I honestly don't know how many stairs we're going to get out of it, so I'll probably have to adjust the height of that. And we're going to just make this all a big acid fall, because why the hell not? Where are we? Nuke. Oh, I want to. Helps if you use the right tabs, Cap. So S-fall, I'm just going to align that so it looks a bit neater the whole way around. And then we're going to go ahead, and this bit gets a little tedious. But we're going to go and just... No, oh my god. Helps if you click in the right spot. Line them up. Now, in theory, we should have the same number of vertices on both of these circles. So they should line up reasonably easily. And then, just like we did with the light levels, making the light levels a gradient between 2 areas, we can do the same with floor heights, and that's how we're going to make this. What Red said.
They have scenarios that you can add, and one of them is the Trump scenario.
What, where an entire country just decides to hate fuck itself into oblivion?
After 4 years of presidency, Trump had saved the world by building a wall around Mexico, telling everyone that he loves China, bombing the Middle East until it was a crater, and then banning the Muslim refugees who fled the destruction. Knowing that his work was done, he launched himself into space to find another world to save.
So what, he's one of your pawns and you're playing Russia at that point?
I think so, and I almost want to get it just so I can kill him straight away.
See, that sounds like it could be hilarious, but also sounds like a dumpster fire in the making. Like, it just sounded like an excuse for someone to write something pretending to be a bit edgy. When he digs himself enough of a hole, we don't need to...
I know, but right now, considering Mr. 5 of his own free will, no one has encouraged him to do so, has decided to call Donald Trump Donald Dump. I mean... The piss take on him is real right now.
This is true. So what I've just done, you can see the sectors have actually numbered themselves in the order I've been selecting them. I can do this, select that one, and now it will gradiate the floor heights. If I click on this, hopefully I have done it the right way. Yes, and now we have a spiral staircase that actually looks like it's going to be a bit too narrow. And I might have to redo that whole thing. We're just going to select the whole thing, give it the texture on both sides. And there we go. I might actually also unpeg it so that it looks a bit more natural for a raised column of acid in a pool of acid in a base in Hell-infested Mars. Totally realistic. Can we, just so that the pain sector doesn't shit me up the wall, can we get up this? This is less infuriating than the pentagram I did on the original map 1, but it doesn't look the best, I will admit. I have done better, but for the purposes of producing a quick and simple map, it will suffice. We're going to put our carrot up, our blue key up here. Let's see, blue key card, I want it nice and tall so that it stands out. But now what I'm going to do is, let's see here, 128, no, we'll stick with the 32 pixels. I'm going to go out again one further, and I am going to make a wall. I'm going to build a wall and I'm going to make the demons pay for it. And we'll go one further again. And what this one's going to do is when you cross this line, we're going to make it raise. So we have a carrot. So you'll start here, you'll see a key, you're going to go over here to try and get to the key, and this wall is going to raise up in front of you. Yes, I'll just make it any of these. So gives them a new tag, so we haven't used any of the numbers yet, so number 1 will be fine. And we're going to go down 2 floors. Let's see, we want a walk texture, and we want 8 above. No, we want something that he can't jump over. We could do by 32, but that's perhaps a bit excessive, given that potentially he could do it 3 times. Let's see, raise floor by 512. Again, a bit much. I'm curious as to what lower floor to nearest floor. No, I don't know. There's a lower floor to highest floor, which is a more interesting one. We want to go with... to the next higher floor would be one of those steps. So that's no good to any of us. This is where I wish I had learned some coding so that we could do this a bit more effectively. I should look how I did it in... So we'll just do it by 32, but what I'll do, instead of using these steps, instead of using these, I'm just going to create a separate line. Set across there, there. That way we can't repeat it. Because otherwise you go over each of those once, it's going to create a potentially 96, that would be 102 or something, pixel high wall, which is just it's not going to be a problem. It's going to look ugly. So, let's see, we can filter. So filtered, so we just got the walk text, the walk textures, the walk triggers. Floor raised by 24, floor raised by 512, lift raised by 32. Apparently, I wonder how I did this. I'm actually going to go and look back as to how the hell I did this. I'm going to save this. Open. Where is my megawad? Map 1. Yep. How did I do this in here? Oh, I already had it in. Okay. Already had it in so that we could see the key. Well, that makes life a lot easier. That makes life a lot easier. Alright, we can just close that one. Yes, StrimWAD. Well, then we can also get rid of that line. Fix that. There's the Make Sectors tool. Very handy to unfuck mistakes like I just made. Where otherwise you end up creating a paradox that destroys space and time. And I can just go ahead and raise you. Like so. Lower texture. Again, I'm just going to be cheap about this. Doors. Like we had the red skull on the other one. We're going to have the blue skull on this one. On the inside, I'm just going to have, again, the blue skull. Tap the A to align them as best we can. And because, well, you're not going to get it perfect. Actually, because we've got, I wonder if, instead of using that, I'm going to use the comp blue texture because it's a bit more merciful to work with. It's not so obvious where that one's not lining up as we would like. Computer, comp blue. Yeah, that looks a lot easier. No, I don't want the nukage. I do want the nukage. I want that nukage to be specific. Floors. And that goes nicely with those. There. So now there's an impassable barrier that Doomguy can't get through, but we can see there's a key up there that we want. We will see that there is a door. The door is locked. We want that key. How do we get that key? Well, if you probably saw and read anything of that map I just opened a few seconds ago, you know we're going to go this way. Because, you know, the 8 seconds I had that open is totally enough for anybody to have worked any of that out. We're going to do that by drawing in another area. I'm going to do from here. This time it's going to kind of branch out and around. And we're going to have some stairs or some... No, I don't want to put it there. I want to put it there. Again, very crude. I normally spend hours agonizing over these details, and it's also a push out of my comfort zone to just do this stuff on the fly. So if we can do this, we can bring this all the way, not all the way down, but we want it to be there, so it's basically on level with that. That's a good ceiling height, and we really would want to worry more about raising the floor. We can do that, and then we can select our sectors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make the floor heights gradient. And we have our stairs, which I will not texture. I mean, that one's going to match that wall. The rest of them will be a step texture. Just use that one. Line them up by tapping A on just any of them at random, really. It doesn't matter, it'll line them all up. This one will be stone 2. And just to get that one matching, there we'll just unpeg those. Line them up again, we'll align them up. And we're starting to see cracks appearing in the alignment, because it's having to reconcile so many different textures in this area now. So that will open up, and we have enough space here. I'm just going to pull you aside for a little while. I actually like how that worked out. What I'm going to do here, we're going to actually put a window in. We're going to have a door here. Let's straighten that. And this one will be a window. So we're going to create a rectangular sector along here. I need to stop right-clicking, because right-clicking will undo it. I'm used to right-clicking in RimWorld. I'm playing too much of that at the moment. How wide is this? On a 64 scale, we've got plenty of space for a door. Good. Right, so a door is going to go here. And this will be window. I'm actually going to narrow this a little. I want it 8 wide. click and drag. Now what I'm going to do is manually create this. Actually, I want all 3 of them to drop for the moment. No, I don't, because it's 128 high. That is, in fact, exactly what I want. Drop you guys down a little bit. Then again, select just the bits we want to work with. Raise you guys up 4, because we don't want a step that Doomguy could, in theory, run over. But this time, that one, I'm just going to bring the whole way up. And because the textures are unpegged, they match together quite happily. It's only the horizontal alignment I really needed to worry about. We will just put door texture in here. But again, I actually need to fill this gap in so that there is a solid thing beside that door. So again, I'm going to select this. I'm going to raise it up to match there. So now we've got the cavity for a door, cavity for a window. And I will just... That shouldn't be a problem, having Frankenstein those like that. Let's see, make a door. What door textures do we have here? Doors. Where is... There, just use that one. Ceilings. Again, 5.1 is still my favorite ceiling texture for a door. I don't know what I just tapped there. Okay, so again, because I dropped the ceiling down, what I needed to do was actually drop the ceiling down in front of it as well. Like that. So that looks a little less polished, but I'm going to go with it. That's a lesson is the door will drop, because Doom is 2.5D, the door will drop from whatever the ceiling is, so you can't just have the door stop at a certain point in the ceiling, it will go all the way up. It won't just open, say, 32 units or whatever. It will open the whole way until it reaches the ceiling. And I want stone 2. The texture itself is what I really wanted to tidy up there. I could have quite happily had the door going the entire way. I could have had the door going wherever the hell the door pleased, but I wanted to tidy it up so that it didn't look like I had this massive string of door that looks absolutely hideous. I'd rather have just that little bit bumping out in the wall. We'll just offset that to 0. There. So we've got that. Oh, and I put it on the wrong side because of course that's not a solid wall. That is a lower texture. We'll have some more light in here. Yeah, make that a bit more lit again so that the player can see, oh, that area is lit. It gets their attention. It gives them something to look at, somewhere to focus. This horizontal alignment needs to be set back to 0. And there we go. We have a door. It will open when we approach it, or when we interact with it. So these all need to be stone, or stone 2. I will unpeg as necessary and tap A to realign them. You need to be reset to 0 so that you start afresh. And since we got a new room, I'm actually going to retexture this room. Now I'm going to do these separately because I don't want to accidentally put a middle texture on there. The middle texture is the one that you do for a flat wall that's not two-sided in practice. That if you put over there would create an illusory wall. I want to do something else in that spot. So in here we've got the ability to, I'm going to use something a bit cleaner up here, as though it's the control area. We're going to use, where is that space wall texture? Right there in front of me. That will do. And again, I'm just going to select these. Scroll down until I find it. Scroll up until I find it. I found it. Copy and paste. There, so again, helps to grab the attention from outside as well. Now what I'm going to do here, what I want to do here, I'm going to do this on both sides. There are two ways of doing this. You can either run a line through the center. In fact, I'm going to do it that way. It's perhaps the cleanest way of doing this, or you can do it on both sides. I'm creating an illusory wall that gives the impression of a grill over the window, or a fly screen, or whatever, call it what you will. We're going to pick as close to the center as we can. Go down the middle like that. And now, let's see, middle textures, mid space, there we are. And we're going to make it impassable. Block monsters. Impassable means monsters can't cross it as well, but it means you can't cross it. Block monsters means that you can cross it, but monsters can't. Hell Revealed 2 is notorious for its use of monster blocking walls, which make that Mega WAD so much easier than it had any right to be. And we're just going to move it around a bit so that it looks a bit more evenly positioned. There, like so. And it should have... No, it hasn't done it on this side. I'll do it on this side as well. I wonder if doing it on this side affects it on the other side. No, good. Alright, so there. The other way I was going to do it was simply placing them over or on each of these walls, and so it would have looked more flush. I actually prefer doing it this way. It looks more neat. And there we have a little control area. Now I'm going to put the switch for this barrier here. Specifically, we'll go back here, 32 vertices. No, I want 16, 8. There we go, 8. Yet I'm being lazy. I really lean on the grid very hard in this. Holy shit, do I lean on the grid so hard, because my compulsive need to have textures lining up, as I'm sure everyone is very well familiar with by now, demands that I use this very carefully. We're going to put our switch here. So 64, 72, 80. I want to have 16 on either side for a border, because aesthetics. That will give us... Oh, it actually lines up perfectly with the 64 grid. Good. No, I wanted the 32 grid so I can insert something in the middle, like so. No, that is not what I wanted you to do at all. I'm assuming that I still have that extra vertex there. Vertex there. I have... gone and bugged it out somehow there. Or is it just... There we go, right. Tap escape. I'm actually going to just jump out of that mode entirely. Not quite sure what happened there. There. Easily enough though to fix. There. Much better. I don't know what the game was, what Doom Builder was doing in that case. That was something I've never seen it do, and hopefully I won't have to see it do it again, so I won't need to worry about explaining or understanding what happened, because I fear education. Right, there we go. So now we can have a border, because again, like I said, aesthetics 16 lets us do that. Just offset that. I want to go back in here and create another line so that I can lower the ceiling in there. So we're creating a line def across there. Falling back on my cursor keys for movement there. So I want to step up there and then down, and then we'll have the switch there. So the upper texture, what do we have in the computers? We have consoles, we've got monitors. We go with the monitors, and for the lower we're going to have just a step, he says. Hoping to find a step that fits in. Now, I actually wouldn't mind if I unpeg you. How will you sit? Nice, that is exactly what I was hoping to achieve with that one. And then our switch. Go to the switches, and just any switch will do. Especially if it lines up. Can I just set you to 0 and you'll fit in? You will fit in nicely. Now you're 8 pixels wide. What lights do I have that are 8? I've got that one that is 8. And I can again line you up reasonably well with the switch itself, but then I risk the next one, the repetition coming in. That looks good enough there. So again, we can just light you up. I'll just have that constantly lit. And that one, I will now go back into the overview, select this sector. We will leave that special effect on it for now. Give it a number 1, so that it will now do, no, we don't want to. If you select a sector and then tap L to go into line defs mode, it will select all of the line defs that comprise that sector. So if you want to change all of the walls in an area really quickly, say you want to go here, tap L, it will select all of the walls at once. Not a bad tool to have, but not what I wanted right now. What we want is to go here, give it the same number as the sector we want it to interact with, and tell it floor, switches. We want the lower floor to the lowest floor, changing texture and type. Actually, we just want lowest floor at this point. Helps if I'm looking at floors. Really helps to look at floors. There we go. Floor lower to their floor raise. So for example in map, what have we got? Map 12, downtown. Not downtown, the factory. There's a little maze through the acid, or through the brown slime that raises as you step over the right tiles and reveals the floor. I think E2M2 had a similar effect in a maze, again over a pool, where you step over the right thing and then the floor comes up and reveals itself. We want a switch for a start, so we'll just narrow it down, and we want floors. So switch lower floor, not lower lift, switch floor lower to lowest floor, changes texture. So now it should tell us that yes, that interacts with that. Can save, test it out. I do a lot more testing than I've seen anybody else do in their maps ever. Not a criticism of them. I suck at fixing up mistakes later on. I'd rather just find them as I go. Like there. I am missing a texture there. I am missing both of these textures. I must have put in normal textures when I created the door, not realizing I actually want lower and possibly upper textures instead of normal textures. So I will go back and fix that up shortly. But does this do? Yes, it does. Now we can go up here. Grab the non-existent key. I must have... Oh, of course. Something else to bear in mind. It's not showing the play mode. Okay, let's see. Mode edit. I want my options, tools, configuration, testing, customize parameters. I want windowed mode. That should open it in a window. Nope. I was worried about that happening. It's difficult with a single monitor display to actually capture this, as I've got it set to display capture. I'm not sure how to get it to go windowed. Maybe if I just, let's see, config, no, yes, testing. Just literally just type in windowed. Nope, it's not. Wait, options. Video mode. Full screen. Now, quickly. I don't know if you can see it now. Because in theory, if that's a windowed application, it should be being caught by display capture. Yes! Oh, jumping is enabled apparently. Yay! So yes, I need to go ahead and fix those missing textures in there. Oh, that probably means that the example I gave earlier with the Hall of Mirrors down here probably didn't work either, and I apologize for that. But switch works. It switches. It does a thing. Now, will it happen again when I reload it? F9. Yes, okay, good. It will stay in windowed mode. Alright, so the thing that happened then, the blue key should have been there, right? I put a blue key in. Yes, but what I also did was create creatures that were only present on one skill or another. When you create another thing, it uses the skill that you had selected. So when I made this arch file, it would have only been on hard mode. Get out of here, imp. I want the arch file. Oh no, sorry, it was on the same modes as I had the imp set to. I hadn't actually set it to hard, but this means that when I went to playtest it in ultraviolence, that key that I placed isn't there for ultraviolence. It's only there for the first 3 skills, so we need to tag it being there on hard mode. So now we've got our choice of end level boss, whether it's an imp or an arch file, depends on how much I hate the player. Pro tip, it's a lot. And we will go back here and put the door track on both. I know it's only telling me that one is missing, but I'm not wasting any time. Put that there and see how that looks. Much better. Something else I can do though is give us a new floor now that we're up here too, because we've got a change in the floor height. We can go up, we can get our key. Yoink. And apparently I'm testing with monsters off. How did I beat my part-time? I'll just... Yes, I am. It's testing on ultraviolence there. So now we should have tested he is appearing. Yes, he is. I'll nope out of that one for now. I'll let him kick my ass later. Alright, so we have a blue key for that. But I'm going to be a jerk and I'm going to put a red barrier around it because that's how I roll. So we're going to go yoink. No, I want sector mode. I want to make... I wish I knew what the short key, hotkey, that's the word I'm after. The hotkey for that particular option is. Let's see. No, I want to click and drag them. Left click. Sectors. There. That's probably not the best. I could probably move them one more. So I don't think you can get through there. But now what I'm going to do... Oh my lord. Again, WASD key controls always mess me up. We're going to drop these down. Select, control click each of them so that we select all of the line defs at once. Doors have a little red barrier around them. They should all be lined up nicely, which they indeed are. Except for this one, because it always has to be one. which also suggests to me that they are facing different ways to each other. No, I just must have missed one. Right, now the thing I showed you earlier where you select the sector, then switch to line def mode to select the line defs is really handy here because I want to tap F to flip them so that they're all facing outwards, so that the lines are all facing outwards, so that you can interact with any one of these. Sector tag 2. What these are going to do is I'm going to set a switch to open them when you have the red key. S1, door open, so when you tap on any of them holding the red key, it will open the whole lot. Clear. Now go to the sectors themselves, because you have to make sure that the actual sector, the space in the map, has the same corresponding tag. Now we will just put a red key here for testing purposes. Save and dive in. And if we finish this early, I'm going to stream some RimWorld. Right, so see, need a red key. I can still activate that from there without the key, but we get the key, that opens that. Now I'm going to give them different ceilings. Just stand out a bit. What I really need to do first though is just move them out a little bit. So that can go, we know that these work. We're just going to move the whole barrier forwards a bit. Actually, I want to move the whole barrier forwards a bit, yes. I'm also just going to copy and paste a couple more in. And it probably looks untidy as all hell from the outside. That looks crowded. I'm gonna leave it because, yeah, I've done it now, but again, I'm just trying to illustrate as many features in a typical vanilla map as I can think of. Again, I'm not planning on doing much more with this map. I doubt it will ever see the light. You know what, I'll throw it up on Discord when I'm done. People can have a run around if they really, really feel like it. Though if that really does float your boat, then I suggest getting professional help and just questioning the life choices that led you to that point. Floors. We are going to go with something a bit different. We're going to go with carpet up here. I'm pretty sure I'm adopting the same upstairs theme I had in the map I showed you before. This will be a stone and more stone. If I can find it, there it is. There. Ah, that's what I've done. At some point I've toggled the option to render the sky. Where did that go? View. Render sky. There we go. It's a little thing, it really is. Save. Now I'm just testing this time to see if I can up here. Nope, we can't interact with it from outside. That is what I wanted. That makes me happy. Right. So we've got our window, we've got our bait, we've got our thing, our exit. As you probably remember from the other map I showed, I've got a whole heap of words that I stumble over regularly. But more importantly, in that map I had a whole heap of pillars and lights and things going on in that room, because when you sit down and you have a lot of time, something I really like to do is just look at this wall and go, right, what can I see happening? Fuck all. What should I see happening? Anything. And so again, I'll save this one and I'll switch back to that one. And so I look at this wall, hey, there's a computer panel there and it does different things. There's a computer panel here. Look over here and I can see the columns, I can see lights, I can see, hey, that light does a thing over there, that's neat. I can see, you look back, you can see, hey, wow, there's definitely a thing that shouldn't be there if you're outside normally. If you're taking a stroll down the lake on a sunny day, you shouldn't necessarily see a portal to hell, but hey, there's one over there, good for them. You do you. And as you move around the level, you see the different things. You've got lights up here if you look up. If you look down, you can just see that the lights actually cast a light on the floor. Go around, you can see there are things on the walls. They don't physically do anything. They don't add anything mechanically to the level, but they just give you something to look at as you move around. And these are not by any means the most elaborate decorations ever. Frankly, they're pretty scrub tier. But there's something. I mean, this is probably the cheapest fucking secret closet I've ever done anywhere. But even this still has a light in it doing a thing. So you walk in and hey, there's actually a feature in here still too. Yeah, that's the pentagram I was describing before. That was a pain to get, and it's even worse trying to climb up. I'm not thrilled with it, but again, I've learned from that. I have learned from that. So we're going to quit out of that, and I'm going to go back to Strim Map, Strim Mod. As you can see, I very much followed the same pattern here. I'm basically rebuilding it. So now we need to get a red key. Red key is going to be from an outside area. Outside area is going to be down here. We're going to just shorten this. This does not need to be this long. We're going to bring this back here. We're going to line it up with the 64 grid. And we're just going to tidy this up a lot. Yeah, that works. Draw lines. Draw a little outsidey area. And then we can, again, just as we did before, we're going to put a bit of a wall here. 8 pixels wide. Line it up. Like so. Just move that one there so we have it nice and level. Have a window. Have another window. And this should be 128 wide. Indeed it is. There's already a sector as well. So what I'm going to do on these is I am just going to, again, give them the little pillars around the sides. I'm actually just going to straight up delete these this time. So when I make this door, it works. It just works. What I've done by deleting them is I've forced the game to create just those the same flat walls that you have on the outside of the map there. There's no space in there, there's nothing. But when I open that door, it will have the door track texture inside it, as it should have. I'm just going to go and, just for the sake of continuity, where is that space texture? There. Put that one there. Now these, I'm going to raise. Again, by just enough that we can't jump over it, but plenty that we can see through. And again, we're going to use that same texture because continuity. Like so. There is a lot of repetition for anyone who hasn't noticed. Align what we can. It's actually aligned pretty damn well. Now this time, because these are not that stone brick, these are going to be whatever we have for the outside. Now, for this bit, I actually want to make another sector. I want to not make another sector that way. I want to do it this way. And I'm going to do it from, I don't know, here. Just get our 64 grid up. And we're going to have just a little thing. I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for. That is even. That was terrible. I should have just made a square, but I didn't. Live with it. Die angry about it. Do that. And that. And then I'm sure someone will whinge about these sharp edges too, so I'm actually just going to flatten those out as well while I am here. Like so. Because yeah, the flat edges coming to a point is not the best way of drawing the things. It doesn't look as good as it could. So there, that looks a bit tidier. Now what I'm going to do is put these steps in. Oh, that is 16. How about 32? I reckon 32 is going to be better. So we switch to line def mode by tapping L. Sector 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Floor heights gradient. That should create perfect stairs. Flawless stairs. You've never seen better stairs in your life. I'm going to change those because I want them to look a little bit different. Lower texture is going to be wooden because why not? That's a nice one. Very easy to work with, very forgiving to work with. And the upper texture I am going to have as... Let's see. Actually, you know what? Let's use this one for the top and bottom. Live a little dangerously. So this is a really good example of the alignment tool. So I can just pick any of these, tap A, and it looks a lot better now. It looks fucking worlds better. It's really not that hard, and it's something that I know that I go on about ad nauseum in the showcase. Now for the bottom of the stairs, I suppose we do want some semblance of matching up. So that looks a little bit different, but it's not... Yeah, it's hard to describe what I'm going for aesthetically, but it's enough of a match whilst being a little bit different, because I can. These stairs are just going to... Again, I want the steps themselves to stand out a bit. That's why I'm going to go with not that. That's not terrible. Upper unpeg does nothing. I don't know why I was bothering with that. They are clearly not 32 tiles high. How does that look? Terrible. We're going to go with that one. Yeah, that looks tolerably better. Swap our carpet out for... I don't know. I don't have any wood. We need more wood. Story of my life. That one... No. Now, the floor and ceiling tiles in this do actually follow the 64 grid in... I'll show you. So, 64 grid. As you can see here, what I will do is, again, just to illustrate that point, we'll create a square. This is probably the best texture to use it with. It's one of these. Right, it lines up. It lines up perfectly there. But if I go and move this, and this was really stark in today's episode of the Custom WAD Showcase, I'm going to have to link this in the YouTube VOD as well, so that the world knows what I'm talking about in a year's time, if anyone actually gives a shit at that point. Pro tip, they probably won't. But if I move this here, it suddenly looks freaking terrible. Now you can use this in ways to selectively use chunks of different textures. You can piece this together, for example, if you were really minded to, you could use that to put together a pentagram with different colors. I know that I used it in the big fuck off slaughter map that I'm working on in quite a few places, for example, to get a little crackle texture through the teleporter that you start on. And in a few other places. My god, that took up so much of my life preparing that. But otherwise, as was in the case of today, it just looks bad where it's misaligned. So the best thing you can do is line them up with the 64 grid, and I have rebuilt entire rooms so that a teleporter fits in perfectly in that way. But I don't want that there. Now, back to what I was doing, which was this floor. Oh, the ensign is messaging me. I will respond shortly. Watch me forget. We'll use the different wood texture up here so that we can see a bit of a difference with the floor, but that it's still consistent with the whole, well, it's clearly made of wood thing. And for this, we're going to use... How does that fit in? Clearly not there. Cancel, because I wanted it here. And I was just not bright enough to realize it the first time. I want to get that base lined up. That's terrible. It looks better that way. I'm going to leave it that way. There. That's something different. No, I don't want to do that. This is going to be the sky. Hey, Nima Morty, how are you? And yo. Let's see. All F sky. I don't know why it's called F. I don't. Ask John Romero or whoever. Actually, no, John wasn't the graphic designer. I don't know who was the graphic designer now. But ask whoever the graphic designer was why it was called F sky. I don't want to select all of those. I do want to select these. No, I don't want to select those actually. I just want the normal textures, so to speak. Oh, feel free to, if you've got any in the Doom World archive, the id Games archive, feel free to shoot me a link in a Twitch Whisper. I would be more than happy to check them out. I'm streaming this one at the moment because I've had a couple of friends and viewers ask how you actually use Doom Builder to make a map. They've never done it before. They'd like to give it a try, and I offered to do this as a bit of a tutorial rather than trying to answer questions over messages where it's really difficult to articulate things that you can't just show. As I learned this evening whilst trying to do something simple like helping the ensign learn how to chop a tomato, which you would not have thought to be such a difficult thing until she nearly took her thumb off 4 times. Rest assured, her thumb is still attached. Anyway, for outside here, we want something outdoorsy. We're going to go, where is that hideous stone texture that I ended up using to death in map 6 of my MegaWAD? Rock. Here, and this actually got reused in Quake as well, this texture. It's been around since Wolfenstein. I know that there is, in particular, a map in Spear of Destiny that uses it, and it appeared in Wolf, it appeared in Doom and Doom 2, and it still appears in Quake. The immediate example I can think of is E2M2, the outside bit where you've got the little pillars to run between with zombies on them. This is there. Now, this is something I don't like, the way that it hasn't lined up there, but I'm actually going to just give this that brown step texture. It's a really good one to fall on. That one and the sheer white one are probably my favorites because they really do just go with so much. Outdoors here, we're going to use the bricks again, I think. Pardon me. Use those, unpeg these. And I am still just very much in my own little happy universe with all of the conveniences of freaking GZ Doom Builder. Holy crap, it is just wonderful to use. I have been making maps since DEU in the 90s, and just, oh my lord. I will just set those to 0 and realign everything, because I can, because that's just so much easier. I will, there we go. Floors. Not any of those. There, and clear that. You, and you. I'm just going to use that door track texture. Sorry, the door stopped. No, yeah, it's door stop. Door stop texture with a 0 offset there, so it looks nice and neat and tidy. And I'm not going to put the mesh in the windows that I did there. I'm just going to have these nice and plain. What I am going to do, however, is I'm going to actually expand this Vertex Mode there and expand it a fair bit so that I can do a thing. The thing I'm going to do I don't want it to link in. Here we will actually escape, thank you. Go to 8 pixels. That is better. 1. And we had 56 each way, didn't we? 2. I'm going to put things on here. Let's see. Obstacles. A pillar. And a pillar. How does that look? That meets the ceiling. I can't really do much with the floor height there, to be honest, but what I can do is still light them up a bit. Because they actually meet the ceiling pretty damn well there. Really isn't much else to be done. But it's just, again, it's just something different to do with it. And what else am I going to do out here? We're going to have our red key out here. So again, we're going to get our drawing tool. Again, because originality is my forte, we're just going to put a little, don't know why I had the Pac-Man thing there. Draw. Like so. Wouldn't mind actually working out if there's a tool that lets you draw more naturally, so that every time the mouse changes direction, it actually draws the curve in line with how your mouse traces. I'm sure it exists, I just haven't found it. And what we're going to do here, firstly, oh my lord, I need to stop using my cursors. Outdoors, grass. See, grass looks good, grass is not bad. But it doesn't look grassy enough for what I want here. What I would rather use is something like this. Actually, no, that looks even worse. I take everything I said back and I'm going to use the rough grass. Yeah, that's good enough. Here we're going to use that. Drop it down a bit. Select all of those. Select all of those. All. And I want that one. Clear. Just align them because I am fastidious like that. And out here, out here, out here, out here, I am going to plant a trap. Trap I am going to plant. Actually, it's going to. I'm going to do this in here, and it's going to be. Something I've spammed to absolute death in my slaughter map. What we're going to do is put our key out here. We're going to put our key out here, and we're going to put what's the word? I'm going to put a little fire pit out here as well, just to demonstrate something else I like to do. But firstly, we're going to put our key, and we're just going to leave the key out here. We're not going to do anything else with it, other than just it being there. Keys. Red key card, it's just sitting there. It's bait. But when you pick it up, Actually, I want to flip them so that it happens when you cross them. Have a new tag, and this one I actually do need to save it. I need to look up what I have been using previously. Open map. Where is the... I don't even remember what I was calling it. Maybe I've done it in my MegaWAD. I'm pretty sure I have done it in my MegaWAD. Map 6. I know I've done it in map 6. Oh, there we go. Alright, so the tag, I don't remember it actually appearing in the list. I actually need to look up what it was. It is 19. W1 floor lower to highest floor. Thank you. What that's going to do is it makes shit appear in front of your very eyes. Tab 3, yes. And back here, we're going to have some cages with props in them that are going to fill with monsters when you pick up that red key. So we can go ahead and add them in now. With that in mind, I'm going to straighten these lines out so that that looks a bit more... Natural is not the word that you want to use in this particular setting, but it's the best word I can think of. It's the best fit. That actually looks pretty good, and then we can... No, I don't want to do that. Do something similar up here. That's clearly on the 4. On the 4, yes. That doesn't look completely horrible. Now again, this is only a map 1 equivalent. I'm not going overboard. I'm not filling this thing with cyber demons, even if the end monster is an archvile, because yeah, fuck the player. Put that across like so. Lower that. Vertex mode.
Sorry.
You're okay, Red. Fill this in a bit. Alright, and lower that floor, raise that ceiling. It just helps to add a bit more mystery into what the fuck is going on here, because it's usually nothing. And this is not going to be any different. Hell. I'm just going to assign any old texture because you won't see it. And back here. Nah, this is purely being thrown together for the sake of a tutorial. I am copying a map that I did create for a MegaWAD that I started working on just as a hobby 4 or 5 years ago now. And that's where I jumped back to. I'll jump back to it again just for illustration's sake. You know, why not now? This is purely being thrown together to illustrate how the map is done for the sake of a tutorial for the aforementioned people with their queries. The map it's based on is this one. Which is just a quick romp through. Here we are. So you start here again. You've got the same trap with the the same bait with the key. Exit door there. Come through here. You've got the switch there, which lowers that. Go out here. Yeah, you can see the similarities, and there are things that I've learned even since I made this that I'm doing differently in the map that I've got. For example, I don't have these sheer pillars. I'm really not a fan of these sheer pillars, but I've got these sheer pillars because that was what Past Me did, because Past Me, I don't know. I don't know what Past Me did. Past Me made a lot of questionable choices. But yes, the similarities should be striking. But this is the map that it's based on. I'm not recreating it verbatim. I'm purely throwing something simple together again to demonstrate the basic functions of Doom Builder. StreamWad, come at me. But I've never released anything. I have little intention of releasing much. I'll occasionally throw a map up on Discord for friends to chew over. And I leave them on my Discord server for anyone who feels like grazing through. But I'm a coward. I will happily critique other people's WADs. I've got a YouTube channel heavily devoted to critiquing other people's other people's Doom mods, but I'm a coward and I won't put my own up for scrutiny because I'm a fucking little bitch like that. And what wall do I want in here? Something nasty. What do we have? Actually, I don't want something too bad. I want something that's simple enough that the props I'm going to put in here won't get lost. If you're fairly new to Twitch, you may also be new to YouTube. I have for the last number of years been showcasing whatever the Doom World randomizer spits out at me. I can promise you, you are not going to have produced anything that I haven't already seen, or anything that comes close to the worst shit I have found so far. And I'm positive I haven't even begun to scrape the bottom of the barrel, never mind lift it up. We want something. Marble works well. No, my worst score so far was that -69 I gave last week's WAD. Just lower the brightness. Now I'm going to do it from here because I don't want to leave my view mode. And oh, of course it's not there, it'll be under metal. There, mid-grate. I don't want anything to be able to get out, I just want that to be there. So now we've got a metal grating. I have no need to put it here, the player won't be back here. But because I know otherwise someone will complain about their immersion. There. It's double-sided now. But otherwise there was no need at all to put it there, because what I'm going to be putting in here is stuff that shoots out. But with that in mind, I really do need to make this bigger. I need to make this bigger because I'm going to have monster closets in here. So 32, I want, let's see, 1, 2. That's all I really need to do. Things. 32, monsters, chain gunners, because fuck the player. Also because I don't want anything that's too big and potentially going to get stuck. You know what? We can do better than chain gunners. Revenants. And they're going to be set to ambush. So they will have a perfect field of view, but they won't actually fire until you are in their line of sight. And that is where this next trick is fantastic. Right, I'm going to not do something that I've been telling you to do since the beginning. We're going to shrink these. We're going to drop these guys. Doesn't matter how far down you go. You could send them back a million points, a million pixels down, and it won't matter because that trigger we put here will raise them instantly. They will literally just appear in front of you. Well, they won't appear in front of you because you'll be over here, but they will literally just appear when you cross that line. And then when you come through, they will attack. I'm not going to give anybody a rocket launcher because that is the only way that you could aggro them sooner. And no. But by not putting textures on here, you will not see these pits. These pits will be completely invisible, and I can put non-blocking things over the top. Let's see here. Decorations. Put a hanging victim there, another one there. Like so. Save. And see, you can't see. No indication that anything is going on there at all. Pick up the red key though. I didn't set the sector tags because I'm a moron. Pick up the red key though and nothing happens because Cap's a moron. There. Save. F9. Try it again. This time without the oops. There. That should have done it. And there you go. Everybody's favourite sound. Clip that. And in theory, that's the map done. I could hang my code up on that. Good luck beating it with the 50 bullets that you get. Miko portals. I am not familiar with that term. I would love to be enlightened though. Please feel free. Let's see what else. I'm going to put a few more things in here because why not? Let's see. Twitching, no. There's a lot of options here. Dead cacodemon. Dead demon. I should put a torch in there or something too, just because why not? Light sources, short red fire sticks. Yeah, that looks passable. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm not unhappy with it. Again, for the sake of something quick just to illustrate functions, I am very happy with that. We'll also put a secret in here. But we have our key, have the trap that it springs that you don't even know about to begin with. It's time I started putting some freaking monsters in here. Let's see. Like booms, conveyor belts, but you can use them in vanilla. Oh, that sounds fascinating. I'm going to look that the hell up. Let's see. Former human. I keep looking for zombie man. It's not. It's former human in this. Like so. I have a few of them. Let's see, let's throw a sergeant there so that we can farm a shotgun early on. Farm a few of them. No, I don't want any of these set to ambush. You, on the other hand, will. You know what, you can be a chain gunner. Health. Put a couple of stim packs there. Throw an armor over here. Like so. And I'm going to put a secret in here. I am just going to put something aesthetic along here. Let's see. 8. Let's see. So start halfway along that one and go to... We'll go the whole way around. Why not? No, that's not what I wanted to do at all. That. Like so. So what I'm going to do with this is simply raise it up like that. We'll lower this down like so. And put something just random in here. Just, I don't know, some random wiring. Again, just something different happening with the wall. That's all it needs to be. Upper texture again will be stone 2. Lower texture, you guessed it, stone 2. Originality. And I also need to unpeg. There. Now these I will just change these so that they have the stone texture as well. Or M-fluorate. Apparently these were named as somebody chewed on a cotton bud. And these I will make the support texture or doorstop. And I'll just offset them, or reset their offsets back to 0 for cleanliness. There we go. And I can just 1, 2, 3, just give them a bit more illumination because, again, there's just something different happening with the wall. There. Now, I'm going to throw a secret in here. Where am I going to throw a secret? Literally effing anywhere. I might actually put it, say it here, so that you need to double back, or you notice it as you double back. Where am I going to put it? I really wish I knew how to rotate the map. I have no idea how to rotate the map though, and I'm not going to fuck around with it too hard. Where is a flat texture I can play with? I know what I'm going to do. I am going to put this up here because we can... No. Do this. 1. Oh my lord. I'm terrible with that. I've got to insert it. That's what he said. 1 and 2. Like that, like that. Lights. Now we've got the indicators already. We've got those blue lights either side of it. That was our only real flag, but I want to add another one because it's easy enough to do this. Clear that, raise these up like so. Let's change so that they can all line up nice and tidily. And then these are going to be nice and brightly lit, except I'm going to have, I'm not going to have you flickering anymore. I'm going to have you flickering, but have you flickering quickly. You, on the other hand, I am going to have you set to flickering as opposed to blinking, because I want you to be subtle. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a switch that you shoot to open a secret door on this map. I just want to see how this looks to begin with. How does that look? It's probably a bit too subtle. I wonder if I actually need to set that down for flickering to be a thing. Let's try that. I don't think I've ever really gotten the hang of flickering. I use blinking more than I use flickering. So let's set it down. And this time we'll test it with no monsters on. No, flickering's just really meh. Apparently the dog's doing a thing. So we'll set that to 256. Set that to blinking randomly. We'll just set this, just lower this down a bit, and we'll just leave this normal. Save. How does that look? There. That's something. I'm just going to go and change these textures so that they are that one. And I'm going to bring them in a bit. Like so, because they don't need to be so far set into the wall. There. I am happy with that. So now what we're going to do is just throw a room, a door, a thing over anywhere really. It doesn't really matter. Hiding it is going to be the thing. I don't want to use that. I just want to draw it. Alright, so I've got you, and now we want to go back one texture, one pixel behind it. And draw. Hopefully that is sufficiently subtle. Five, 6, 7, 8. That should be 256. Or 128, sorry. That should be 72 high. 88. I was close. Math is not my strong point, that's why I became a lawyer. That will be 72. Nope. Is it 72? It says that was 72. I don't know why I thought 88 minus 8 would be 72. Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway. Ceiling. Cotton bud texture. Unpeg the upper. That looks like it's already aligned happily. Still going to tap A because it's what I do. Right, and in here we have what will be our secret room that opens up. I just need to put in the door itself. So again, we're just going to insert that. Bless you, Red.
Sorry.
No, you're not.
I have a little bit. That one hurt.
I don't know why I laughed at that.
Because you're an asshole.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So we set a new tab here, or tag here. We want 4. And we're going to drop the ceiling down to the floor, which will be minus 64. Ceiling texture. I'm going to leave the ceiling texture as it is. And otherwise, we're just going to progressively make this a bit brighter as it goes. And I have a torch, actually, yeah, let's use a burning barrel. So a torch works, but so does a burning barrel. Let's see. Decoration. Dead player. And in here we're going to hide the most prized item in the entire game, the SSG gun, and a blue armor. If I offset, unpeg you, now that definitely looks sus. There, almost imperceptible unless you happen to find that 1 pixel gap in the wall. You would never know what you're looking for. Now to make something a secret, you just select this, special, secret. Easy. You can also hide things on the map, but I'm not giving the player a map on this level, so actually I don't know how it'll show up on the regular map. See, it's really not easily spotted. To the point where I actually wonder where I've put it. Can't see it there. Well, it's very well hidden. Now we've got a tag, I believe I put a sector tag of 4 on that one, put a tag of 4 on this one, and doors. GR, door open, stay. Yes, it is linked to it. So, we check it out now. Shooting that opens that. We got our SSG gun, we got a mega armor. I need to change these textures to be a little less conspicuous. I could probably just make this look like something completely different entirely if I really wanted. But we have a secret. So it's almost done. 2 hours and we've got a... It's not gonna win any awards, Jesus Christ, no. It's not the kind of thing I would do anything with, but we've got almost a completed, fully functioning map with a few frills. It's not that difficult. Now, something I was going to do out here, I was going to put a little gimmick out here, which was a little fire pit. I'm going to do that now because why not? So we're just going to use a rectangle for this, just because I can. 64. I want to do it a little bit bigger than 64, and I'm going to put it in the middle here. So, actually, no, it's probably a bit big. 16 is probably enough of a margin. Trace that. And then in here, I can go 64 like so. Actually, I'm just going to use a circle for this. I'm going to put a thing here. I'm going to put a flaming barrel on this. If I can find them. There it is. And what we're going to do is we're going to raise ground around it. That's probably the worst spot I could put that is there. Where can I move you? I can move you anywhere though. I can move this up. Move this down here, for example. It won't matter. I'm not using any particularly important textures that I'll lose the alignment of. Lower there. Rock. That'll be fine. Floor. I'll use the same floor in both sectors actually. Let's see, what do we have? Rock. I thought I had more to work with, but you will do. Right. Now, what I've done is the same way I've hidden those revenants. The floor does not show because I've not used any lower textures in that pit that I've created. I actually want to raise that up one more, but as you can see, it conceals the bottom of the barrel. So if I raise it up one more, in fact, I'm only going to raise it up by 4 more pixels. What are we up to? A floor height will be minus 36. That should do it. Oh, I see what that's doing. I need to realign that door for a start, but then that'll be fine. See, now what we've got is the fire, and I can put bodies around that. TNT map 2 has a little barbecue pit, which uses this trick. I've got a map 18 in my slaughter map, has villages, which have, I use that to make fireplaces in the village. What was I here for? What I was complaining about before was the way this texture is not perfectly aligned. It's kind of, you can see there where it starts to repeat. It's off by 3 or 4 points, which I will fix now. Yeah, there we go. And that would have, I don't know what. Maybe when I aligned that around, when I aligned any of these and it moved that, or that floor to align the floor with the rest of these textures, it moved that door with it because they're on the same line depth, same side depth. Not a problem. So we've got our fire pit. We've got this. I just need to put some. How do I go about this? I'm going to have to go in through here. Okay. Tag you. Tag you. Middle door. Door track. Offset to 0. I'm not sure why they would have lower text. I need to put lower textures in over there as well. Did I already do that, or did I not remember it? Don't you got lower textures? I already did that. Alright, so I am mildly brighter than I gave myself credit for. Right, monsters, we're just going to throw a couple of imps in here. And a hit scanner because they're always fun. And because I've got that open wall there, I am going to set all of these to ambush. Good, they already are. Cacodemon, you know what else I'm going to do though, is I'm going to have a Cacodemon set to ambush. What I'm going to do though is have these walls. I don't need to be that cheap about it. I can click these individually. They can block sound. And that can block sound. So what this should do is I'm going to put another pit in here. Let that Cacodemon. Oh, if I do that though, then he won't. I wanted to put a pit in here that the Cacodemon can raise from, that he can jump, that he can float out of. But I suppose if I just set all of these to raise that floor when you cross over it, it wouldn't be such a big deal though. 1, 2. I realized that was a bit bigger. Put you in the middle. In the middle. And on easy and medium. On hard, we're going to have one of them be 42% health, all-time favorite enemy to encounter. And then sector tag up to 5. Line def. We'll just have to do these manually because I don't want the interior. Actually, it's probably still easier. Select these, line def mode, and unselect the couple that we don't want rather than individually selecting the million that we do want. Flip them. Action 19, tag 5. There we go. They should. You'll hear a noise. There are ways of concealing that noise that I have not familiarized myself with enough to care. I'm not bothered by that noise. You'll hear a thunk as you walk into the river, as though your boots are made out of something much heavier than they probably should be. Hello. This must have been caused by something. Ceiling height. There's no floor. Oh, because they've got different floor heights. 192 minus 64. It's fascinating that it's done that. I don't quite understand why it's done that. I've never seen this before. Oh, I know what's happened. I must have had that sector selected when I added that Yep, I know what's happening. When I added the door track texture over here, what I've done was I must have had this still selected, and it's added door track here as a normal texture, which descends one full instance down. It doesn't repeat though, so you can't use it to make a bottomless or an endless waterfall, for example. So yeah, that's that. So that's something I can very easily remedy. You're still tagged. Good. I didn't know how many stages back I had undone. What we can just do here, select these, click, get rid of that. And that's fixed. There we go. I used my brain. It's the one time I ever plan on doing so don't get too used to it. They can drop down there. Not too far down that the player can see them too soon, but not too far. Not too shallow that the player can see them too soon, but not too deep that they take longer to get out of there that you cross over here and thrust them up in a most distasteful manner. I also really just want, while I'm here, to just like that, ceiling, wood. Nope. Yeah, why not? That doesn't look completely horrible. Doesn't look wonderful either. Let's use the other one. No. Use the tiles there. That fits better. That feels better. I'm happier with that. Okay, I'm going to put a thing up here to distract the player while the door is open so that you make noise. You have no choice but to make noise. I think a demon is probably spongy enough. And I'll put an imp on the stairs. Down here, I'll just throw in a couple of imps. Actually, I need to also make sure that I am keeping the difficulty settings uniform. And this time I just want a sergeant, another sergeant, and a couple of zombies, a zombie. We're going to put in some decorations because we can, obstacles. These brown trees are fucking huge, so they're not something I want to spam in here. Grey trees. Stalagmites poking out of the water because, again, why not? You can see this is already looking pretty crowded. I don't want to put too much more in here. This is going to make my ability a pain in the ass, as it is, as it should be. And we want some ammo. We definitely want some. We're going to need more health than those two things. Very much. Very, very, very much so. Overuse is to be avoided, but yes, they can be very handy. Otherwise, they get there's not enough variety, there's not enough diversity in the trees in the game, and so having a million of them in a row just looks very tacky. It's a bit like using, building a big square room and using torches to try and delineate walls or something, delineate rooms. It just doesn't work. Well, I mean, it physically does, but it looks atrocious. And too many of them in a cramped space like this, you're just going to get stuck on them. You're going to get hate fucked by the enemies, and it's just going to cause rage. So I don't want too many of them that the player knows that I'm actively out to ruin them, but enough to still actively ruin them. It's a fine balance. Put some health up here. Couple of points there. One here. Ammo. Box of bullets can just go there, why not? Box of shells. Doesn't need to be pretty, just needs to get the job done. I'll put a couple of boxes of shells just along here. And I reckon we've got a map. Helps if I have monsters. No, monsters are off. I need to just go back and do this. Let's see if it works. If this works, then we are actually done. Ow. I want both of these. Grab those. I picked up everything from here. Some ammo. No, that's not working. That's not working. I want them. How can... Are they set to ambush where they are? They must be set to ambush where they are. Yes, they are. There we go. Save and try that again. Ow! I ate a shotgun that time. Yoink. Boop. Grab those. There we go. Grab that health. You two have fun. Ammo is something I'm thinking. Oh, we got plenty. Oh, we got them both. Hit you, hit you. Hold it, hold it. God, RNG's has smiled on me there. And we have it. There we go. It's playable. It's not astoundingly pretty. It wasn't meant to be astoundingly pretty, but it's a not terrible map. If someone handed that to me, I would certainly not be surprised if it was their very first map ever. But start to finish, we've got some frills, we've got some tricks in there that I don't see in a lot of maps, like, you know, aligned textures. There is an easy mode. I will, however, add in just a little bit more ammo because I don't get other people to test my maps, and I'm well aware that when you play a map, when you test a map that you've built, you know where everything is. But I did that to... That was a pretty fine one for me, so I'm going to put in some more ammo. Another box of shells. I'm going to throw it in down here. Bearing in mind that we do still have the chain gun, we didn't use that. I'm going to put in a couple of med kits. No, ew, I didn't want that. Just like that, please. Health and armor, med kit. We'll put one up here, or down here, another one down here. So there's plenty of health. It's map 1. It's not the kind of thing that you'd expect to be wrecking people. Yeah, I'm just going to throw in some decorations up here. Light sources, floor lamp. There. So the hitboxes should have them up top, and it does. There. So, it's a map. It's not the most pretty thing you'll ever see. It gets the job done. I will throw this up on Discord in case anybody actually feels like having a run around in it. I will link in the YouTube VOD the different builders that I have checked out on Twitch. For anyone who was interested to check those out, I will add to that list as I find more interesting people who are certainly, in my view, worthy of following. And I will also link the showcase WADs that I've referenced throughout this in that VOD as well. So, that being said, it's 10 o'clock. I'm going to have a stretch, and we'll probably come back with an hour or so of RimWorld, because goddammit, I feel like playing RimWorld. But until then, thanks for tuning in. It's been different, it's been fun. and I actually got to use my brain for a bit. But until RimWorld in a little bit, cheers.